So it's jacked up, got a flat tire. Yes, van life is worth it, but it gets messy. That's being honest. There are ups and downs, and oh, the ups are great. And after spending the winters in Florida, going from meetup to meetup, it was really wonderful to be surrounded by friends. Those meetups began to feel like home for that 6 months. There's something very special about being surrounded by women who understand this lifestyle. Women who understand why a parking lot can feel like a neighborhood and how a van can feel like home. Why a camp chair circle can feel like family. But as spring awakened, as always happens with me, something started to stir again. I love the friends, I love the meetups, I love the feeling of belonging, but my wanderlust is whispering. And I was ready to see where my muse, the road, would take me. It took a few miles for the music of the road to fully wake me up again. But then it happened. That lift, that feeling, that sense that the world is bigger than the place where I had been sitting still. That feeling of movement, the feeling of possibility, the feeling there's something waiting around the next bend. And then came the deep green hills of Virginia. Not the biggest mountains, not the most dramatic mountains like out west, but soft, rounded mountains, layer after layer of green. So many shades of green, in fact, it felt like you could almost taste it. It reminded me why I love van life. Very different from the winters. And at 75 years old, van life keeps my childlike sense of wonder alive. And I think that contrast matters. 75 years old and still feeling wonder like a child. Still wanting to know what's over the crest of that hill and what's around that next curve. Will it be another mountain or maybe a valley or a winding road ahead of me? I'm always curious. Sometimes it's a little town that I've never been before, where the houses and everything, the little lifestyle looks very different from where I've been. And that glorious curiosity is part of what keeps me feeling alive at 75. I'd been in Florida all winter, and Florida's beautiful. I love it. But I lived there for so many years that sometimes that beauty becomes ordinary, and I think that happens to a lot of people. Someone else could visit your home state and be amazed at the things that you hardly even notice anymore. Sometimes we don't need the biggest mountains. Sometimes we just need a new road, something new to explore, a different shade of green. And I know that all of you who watch me and long for this lifestyle feel it with me, this freedom, the wonder, the feeling of soaring. That's the dream part of the van life. That's the part that makes all the effort worthwhile. And from Florida to Maine, it felt glorious. Then reality hit, because there are downs in van life too. Ramona's van needed parts for a steering repair. She'll tell you more about that. She waited, and we waited, and we waited. And waiting's not something that either one of us has become very accustomed to in our years of van life. We're used to moving. We're used to changing views. We're used to letting the road decide what comes next. To me, it's almost like a Disney ride. But this time the road said, not yet. We waited at a beautiful campground called Nature's Wilderness RV Lodge in Maine. Great campground. And if you have to be stuck somewhere, being stuck at a peaceful campground is not the worst thing in the world. There were trees, and it was quiet. There was privacy. There was a little babbling brook. There were birds and shade, and it was beautiful. After a while, even a beautiful place can start to feel like a waiting room when you're ready to move on. Ramona was grounded because of her repair, and I was still able to drive for a little while, but then my Pacifica started acting funny. There were a few little electrical differences, but they were odd, but they kind of came and went, and now they've been gone for a while. They had it looked over, and they didn't find any problems. And then my tire suddenly, just suddenly went flat, just right to the rim. It was totally flat, and that stopped everything again. Now, here is where being prepared really saved the day. I had road hazard coverage on my Michelin Defender tires, and I was glad I did. Those tires were still under their 3-year warranty, thank goodness. That made the whole process so much easier. They were going to pay for the tow and replace the tire, and it was going to be at no cost to me. That part was wonderful. And then came the next van life reality. My Pacifica cannot just be pulled behind a truck. Can't be towed. It has to go up on a flatbed. And because the Pacifica sits so low, that can already be a little bit tricky to get it up on something like that. But I also have a hitch box in the back. Now that hitch box is wonderful for full-time van life. I really need that storage. And when you have full-time minivan, storage is not just a convenience, it's kind of survival. But in this situation, that hitch box created a problem. If they tried to pull the Pacifica up onto the flatbed, the hitch box was going to really bottom out. So even though the road hazard coverage was doing exactly what it was supposed to do, they couldn't actually get my van up onto the flatbed. So if I had the key, it would have been different, but I couldn't find the key. We could have taken the box off. That's a new project, find that key. So you may have coverage, and you may have the roadside assistance, and you may have a tow truck standing by right there. And still there may be a practical problem that you didn't think about until that last moment. Thankfully, the tire was holding air after I inflated it. So on pins and needles, I drove the 20 miles to the tire shop with the tow truck following behind me. And that was nerve-wracking. I was watching every little bit of the road, every bump, every little sound, every vibration. But all that ended well. The tire was repaired, the cost was covered. And Buddy had a great time making friends at the tire shop while we waited. He can turn a stressful day into a social event. So now Ramona's van is fixed, my tire is replaced, and we're back on the road. Now we're looking for cooler weather, new views, and whatever adventures are waiting down the road. But all of this brings up another part of van life, the difference between full-time and part-time setups. I'll be doing a video about that soon. It's really important to understand the difference, whether you're full-time or part-time, because when you live in your van full-time, you have to carry so much more than you do for a weekend trip or part-time adventure. That changes the way your van looks. Of course, if you're part-time, you can spend a week or 2 weeks or however long you want to perfecting that cute little setup that you have, like a little dollhouse, getting everything, arranged just right, all the baskets set up and the lights set up. When you're full-time, you probably just went to the grocery store before you go to a meetup, and you just did all your laundry. And since you're on your way to a meetup, you wanted to do it at the last minute, and then it's all piled up in there, and you don't even want to open the door, while people who are part-time will open all the doors wide and want to show off their cute little showpiece. It's not like that in full-time van life. We try to keep it that way, honestly, we do. But then there's the reality. So I'll go into that at some point. I will definitely do a video on the actual details of how you would set up for full-time as opposed to how you would set up for part-time. I think that'd be really useful for everybody. Right now, my van is absolute proof of that. It's a mess, a real mess. Things are piled up. Things need to be pulled out. I mean, everything. And it needs to be cleaned and sorted and minimalized and reorganized and put back where they belong or a new place that they may belong. And honestly, when I look at it right now, it feels overwhelming. The organizing and fixing and problem solving. The moment when the beautiful dream looks a lot like a pile of stuff you need to deal with. And then there's that wonderful feeling when it's all cleaned up again, when everything has a place. That's a good sense of accomplishment right there. When the van is reset and you can breathe again. And if you're already on the road or if the road is just calling, you're ready to answer when things are back in place. Ramona and I will be doing another porch talk soon about the ups and downs we've both been through lately and new plans, because things change every day. So we're going to update you soon. And it's good to know that the realities are out there. The realities, there's a high and the lows, and both are worth it. It's good to think about how your vehicle would actually be towed. That's a lesson to be learned. It's good to know that a hitch box can help you every day and still create a real problem one very inconvenient day. It's good to understand what full-time van life and part-time van life travel that they're not the same. Both are wonderful and they're doable, but they are different. Full-time van life asks more of your vehicle. It asks more of your storage. It asks more of your patience and sometimes more of your nerves. But still, I look back on those green Virginia mountains and I remember that feeling of soaring. I remember the road opening up in front of me. I remember wondering what was around the next bend. And then I know why I keep doing this. The dream is real. The freedom is real. The awe that I feel is real. The feeling of soaring. But the sacrifices are real too. But for me, at 75 years old, the road still keeps my wonder alive. So yes, there are ups and downs in van life. There is reality. But I am still here. I'm still rolling. I'm still learning. I'm still curious. I want to see everything. And I'm still cleaning up the mess, because there is that. And looking, seeking, following cooler weather is great in the summertime. Still looking for what's over the next hill and around the next bend. You know why? Because life is short. So live your dream. Thanks for those comments. You know I love your comments. And I respond to all the comments. Any kind of comment or question you want to leave. It's great. A like on the video would be okay. And Ramona keeps reminding me that I need to ask you to subscribe, because most of the people, the great majority of people who watch my videos on a regular basis are not subscribed. So I'd love to have you be part of the group. If you have any questions at all, please let me know. So I'll see you next time. Bye.